We continue our conversations on News Talk 710 KURV. We're broadcasting from Houston. We're at the Westin Galleria here with all the gang from RioPlex and this very big direct foreign investment summit. First time ever. We've seen some. I'm 30 plus years of broadcasting. First time I see something like this. We got the combination of South Texas leadership, Northern Mexico leadership, and industry folks. Everybody from finance, everybody in construction, not everybody, but we got some big players. And we want to thank Joaquin Spammer again from CIL for putting this summit together and bringing political leadership and bringing industry leadership for the sole purpose of recruiting industry. He was able to, Joaquin Spammer was able to bring together 14 different nations that are part of the conversations that are taking place here in Houston and tell them who we are as a region. What is the Rio Grande Valley? What is Northern Mexico? What do we have to offer? And we got, I do believe, looking at the evolution of our economy the past 30 years, yeah, we're ready. We got everything that they need. We just need name recognition. That's going to be up to us for them to understand RioPlex exists. My next guest, on behalf of the Border Trade Alliance, the Mexico chapter, is Carlos Garcia. I know the salary as the director at BTA. That's not a very big salary. I think it's volunteer work, if I remember correctly. So that doesn't pay the bills. So what does pay the bills, Carlos?
Well, before, let's just say I didn't quit my day job.
I hope so.
I'm a Mexican custom broker.
Okay.
My port of entry is Matamoros, which is, as you well know, and all that are listening to us right now, is the border with Brownsville, Texas. And Brownsville, I'm proud to say, is the biggest city in the Rio Grande Valley. And RGB is something that we've heard for the last several decades, and it has some recognition. But now we want to put it next to RioPlex, which is RGB-RioPlex. And this is the over 3.5 million people that live between Brownsville and Roma, in Matamoros, and basically Ciudad Mier. Yeah. This is the southmost part of Texas and the northeast of the state of Tamaulipas in Mexico. So Matamoros, many people don't know, but it's the closest city to the capital of Mexico, which is Mexico City. So if you want to go to Mexico, the fastest way to get there is through the Brownsville Matamoros port of entry.
How's business these days? I got to ask you, as far as on the Mexican broker side, customs side, how's business these days?
I mean, business was in the up and up for the last 3-4 years after the post-pandemic. And we were seeing all our international bridges in this RioPlex region giving very good, obviously positive numbers. Instead of growing the nation's average 2 or 3%, we were talking 5-6% in the growth of both southbound and northbound shipments of different types of cargo. And we are very fortunate to be in this RioPlex region because we have 14 international bridges. 6 of them are for commercial vehicles. We have all types of transit. We have rail, we have land, we have ports, we have pipelines. So anything you want to cross, we can do it through this region. And obviously, as all the folks that are listening to us right now, Sergio, the uncertainty of how the tariffs that are being imposed by the U.S. are going to play out, that is causing a slowdown, obviously, in the border trade. So that's something that we have to keep a close eye on.
We just sit back and listen and have to deal with the goalpost that keeps moving. As far as Border Trade Alliance, and I think we probably should revisit real quick so we hear the name BTA quite a bit. Just the brief thumbnail history of BTA.
BTA is based out of Washington, D.C. It was established in the mid-'80s when we were talking about a free trade agreement. They were the first organization that was lobbying so that we can get the original NAFTA signed that we did back in 1994 and that started in 1995. That's BTA in USA. several years after that, they decided to have a Mexico chapter, so we can work in tandem. BTA doing the lobbying in the U.S. obviously, and the Mexico chapter doing its part in lobbying, uh, obviously helping free trade on the Mexican side. So
Yeah.
that's where I just started as president a couple of months ago, in a very difficult time, but I'm up to the task.
I tell you what, you show up in time for the USMCA renegotiate.
Exactly.
You show up just in time for something.
But I don't want to, obviously, I don't want to, it's not a debate, but most people think it's a renegotiation, and it's not. It's a revision. So we can go to 2026, Sergio, and just decide that the USMCA can continue as is. But most people, because of all the talk of tariffs and everything, apparently they're thinking that the renegotiation is inevitable, and not necessarily.
Uh-huh. So will you in any capacity be involved in providing recommendations, counsel, review of maybe some of the formulas, and okay, we need this much produced in the U.S. in order to be exempt from this tariff, things like that, all these different formulations that go in. And we'll stick to cars here in just a second, because those will be moving all over the place, I would imagine, in order to conform and try to avoid this additional expense. Because we need, I say we, Detroit, that is producing elsewhere and everywhere. And see, the other day, my producer and I, we got dizzy because we were following this business report that said, okay, so you got this lug nut produced in Mexico City, and then it's sent to Canada, not Mexico City, in Mexico. It's sent to Canada to be combined with a screen, and then it moves across the border again to be combined with this other panel, and it goes back over here to be combined with another thing, and then eventually got so it moved the border several times. It got cha-ching, 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 like everywhere. It can get real complicated real fast when it comes to producing all these different components that go into making one.
Exactly. And we're so, the supply chain is so, there's a lot of interdependence. Like you said, Sergio, to build a car or heavy equipment, it can go back and forth maybe 8 times. And it has components not only of North America region, but of all over the world. And then the percentages, they change. It's not the same for a car that can be 65%, but then you talk about a truck, a 18-wheeler, and then it's going to be 75%. So those changes in the percentage of the regional content, it gets confusing. But for all the public that is listening to this interview right now, let's just go back to the basics. When you talk about the North American Free Trade Agreement, which is the first one, and then we go into the new USMCA that it's only been for several years. The spirit is free trade. It doesn't really matter how many times you cross the border between Canada, the US, or Mexico, back and forth. It's like there's borderless. There's not a tariff. That's the spirit of this North American region. What we really need to think about what's happening right now is that if we weren't complying with the percentage and we were paying maybe for the difference between what you complied with USMCA and you have from other countries, you were paying a low percentage. Like in automobile, you were paying the most favored nation 2.5%. Now it's 25. That has changed. And I am going to see, Sergio, slow down in that industry in the next months because they are going to be looking for suppliers in North America.
Yeah.
And it's good news that President Trump has already confirmed that at least for now, we are going to continue with the USMCA as is.
Yeah.
And that gives us a second chance, even for a second wave, if you want to call it like that, of nearshoring now.
Yeah.
A lot of companies, US companies, are going to say, well, I can't be somewhere else in the world right now because of this situation. So I am going to come not only to the US, North America. They might come to Mexico. They might come to Canada if things stay like the last news that we have.
Carlos Garcia, Border Trade Alliance, the Mexico chapter. You think President Trump views the bloc, Canada, U.S., Mexico? Do you think he sees it as a potential firewall, a hedge, solid competitor to bring China down? We have, I say we, the West, the U.S., we have created an economic enemy, potential military enemy out of China. And they can wait us out. Their president, premier, whatever they call themselves, they're not going to be voted out of power anytime soon. But elections change governments in Washington, back Mexico City. So they could wait us out. But we need that change. And in order to get there, maybe flex some muscle as the bloc to do something like that. And part of that would be to pick up some of the demand in manufacturing in Mexico.
I'm going to say something. Some people might not agree with me, but I don't see the U.S. winning that trade war without Mexico.
Yeah.
And I think the President Trump knows that. And we've seen it in his recent decisions towards Mexico. He's seen us as an ally because we're one of the only countries that didn't retaliate, because we know that 80% of our trade goes to the U.S. And it's not that we're trying just to wait it out, or it's just that it's something that we know we have to go in tandem. And that's the way it has been for many, many years. And I don't see the U.S. Going to any type of war without his partner in the South.
Carlos Garcia, the Border Trade Alliance Mexico chapter. You and I were talking a little bit off air about how potentially the cost of the 25% tariff, automobiles, like where it might be fragmented, distributed, got middlemen and all these different hands that exchange these vehicles before they wind up with the end consumer. People still need to buy cars in order for the industry to survive. So somehow they either got to swallow the cost, maybe distribution to stockholders won't be that big because the middlemen, we take from middlemen, we take from other distributors, all those things. Find within the chain, the distribution chain, find some of the savings, so maybe just raise it a little bit at the end. So in your mind, how do you see maybe this price being distributed? Not at 25% for consumer, but somehow broken down where it's a small amount.
Well, Sergio, if you want the final consumer to swallow the 25%, that pill would be very big to swallow.
Yeah. Cars ain't going to sell as much as they need to sell in order to keep.
And what's going to happen with the final consumer, instead of changing their car every 3 or 5 years, it can be more than that, 7 years, 10 years. And that's going to slow down the automotive industry that, is one of the big, sorry to say it this way, but one of the big engines in the economy in the U.S. For a very long time. So to be honest with you, I think that the automaker, the distributor, the major suppliers are going to have to affect their profit margin a little bit, and maybe everybody can take 1/4 of the pill, and that will be easier to swallow.
Big old snowball coming down, and they got to break it down so it's just a little snowball when it hits you at the end. Well, thank you for your time, Carlos. And before I let you go, if you had a chance to sell the region, sell the valley, sell northern Mexico, you got one of the South Korean guys in the elevator. Give me the 1-minute elevator speech. Why should they consider building here in South Texas?
We have the best human resource that you can have in a region that has the element of having both sides of the border. So we complement very well. We have over, like I said, 3.5 million people in a place where not only the geography, but also the work that everybody's doing as a team. You've seen it, Sergio, here. It's something that we didn't see 5 or 10 years ago.
Agreed.
You've got county judges working together. You've got the major cities with their leadership, both of the private sector and the government working together, communicating, and obviously stop that jealousy that when we go abroad and want to sell, we're not going to sell the Port of Brownsville or Harlingen or maybe mission, you know what? We're selling the region. And we know that wherever they decide to locate their plant, it's going to help the region as a whole. So I think that this is a very good step. I think that RioPlex is going to be something that everybody's going to be talking around, not only in the US, but in the rest of the world. And we're going to see a lot of foreign direct investment in the short run. I know that we have, like you said earlier, all the elements, all the potential to be players. And why not? We're going to be competing Houston with Dallas, with San Antonio. We can do it.
That's right. Drip, drip, drip. Just keep at it. We're going to continue this push, this marketing push.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Carlos. Carlos Garcia for the Border Trade Alliance. I am Sergio Sanchez. This is Newstalk 710 KURV, and all these conversations that we're conducting at RioPlex, the Direct Foreign Investment Summit from Houston. Please join us online at our X page, Facebook, also YouTube, and join us. Eventually, these videos will also post on LinkedIn, and of course, we'll be broadcasting these conversations on Newstalk 710 KURV. Thanks for joining us.